Today.
Opposition Day number 2, Mr. Fraser.
Recognize the Leader of the Third Party.
Thank you, Speaker. I move this motion. Whereas Ontario is in an affordability crisis, making it increasingly difficult for families to pay their monthly bills, and whereas Ontario businesses are struggling to stay afloat faced with U.S. tariffs, and whereas the Premier promised to provide Ontarians with an income tax cut over 7 years ago and has failed to deliver. Therefore, in the opinion of this House, the Government of Ontario should make life more affordable for Ontario workers, families and small businesses by reducing the tax rate for Ontario's second income tax bracket from 9.15% to 7.15%, eliminating the provincial portion of the HST on home heating and hydro bills, and cutting the small business tax rate in half. And it's addressed to the Premier.
Mr. Fraser has moved Opposition Day motion number 2. I acknowledge the Leader of the Third Party.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And in case anybody missed question period this morning, you're probably going to hear a lot of the same things. So this is our first Opposition Day motion, so I'm proud of all the work that everybody's put into it, getting ready for today. And it was an important issue for us to raise because 7 years ago, the Premier, before he was Premier, promised an income tax cut. An income tax cut that he never delivered. Nada. Nothing. He forgot about it. He forgot about that promise. Nothing has happened. So last year, Ontario Liberals put forward a suggestion, a recommendation to the government to split the second bracket between $51,440 and $75,000 and reduce the tax rate from 9.15% to 7.15%. That would mean a difference of $900 a year to Ontario families. And why is that important? That's important because we have an affordability crisis. Families are struggling just to put food on the table, to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, to pay the bills. There's not a lot left over, if there is anything left over. So an income tax cut is something that people can count on every week, or every paycheck, something they know that's going to be there. Not receiving a check willy-nilly, every 4 years at the whim of a Premier, because he's got something that's more important to him he wants to take care of, like an election. So, in the spirit of good faith, we just wanted to give the opportunity for the government to say today, yeah, we're for an income tax cut. We believe in income tax cuts because that's what the Premier says he believes in. That's what he said 7 years ago. That's the thing that he committed to that he never delivered on. The thing that didn't get done. And all the things that got done, that's the thing that didn't get done. The thing that matters to families, the things that matter to families right now. So the second thing that we put forward relates to energy costs. And then again, there's another promise. I remember very distinctly, not just the Premier, Speaker, but members on the other side, some of them that are chirping right now because they don't like what I'm going to say. And because what I'm going to say is, y'all promised that electricity prices would go down. Did they go down? No? No, they didn't go down. What did they do? They went up, guys. And you all know that, eh? You all know they went up. So you committed to people that you reduced their cost for electricity. It didn't happen. So the least the Premier could do in this instance is actually remove the HST from home heating and electricity. That's going to mean about $200 a year to families. It's important. I think it would be a way to unbreak the promise that he broke to reduce electricity prices. And as a matter of fact, providing an income tax cut to families, again, splitting that second income tax bracket between $51,000 and $75,000 and reducing the tax rate from 9 by about 2%, right? giving families about $900 a year, that would be a great way to unbreak the promise that he broke, to fix it, to make it right. And that's why we put the motion forward. And thirdly, what's proposed in here is cutting the small business tax rate in half. And this was brought forward last year by my colleague from Don Valley West. I know that she's going to have more to say about it in this debate. I think that would mean about $16,000 to small businesses. 18,000, thanks, I stand corrected. $18,000 to small. That's going to help employees. That's going to help businesses. That's going to help create employment in the face of Trump tariffs. Now, there are people hurting out there right now because production lines are shutting down, especially in our auto industry. We heard about that this morning from the member from Oshawa. People are really hurting. We've got to do some things about that. Reducing income taxes will help. Reducing prices for energy will help. But the other thing we have to remember is it's not just the big factories. It's not just the big businesses. Okay? It's small businesses are going to be affected by this too. They need a break. They need support. And that's why we put this forward. So I know my colleagues are eager, literally chomping at the bit, to have a few words to say about this. But let's reiterate very quickly what we're talking about. 7 years ago, the Premier promised to cut income taxes. And guess what? Didn't happen. Okay, so we put forward a modest proposal to split the second rate, modest proposal. I wasn't reading Tom Parkin's speaking notes, so, but our second, the second bracket, by splitting the second bracket between $51,000 and $75,000 and reducing the tax rate by 2%. That would mean $900 to families. Okay, we put that forward. It's an opportunity for the government to vote for it. 7 years ago, the Premier said, I'm going to reduce electricity costs. They're going to be lower, folks. I'm lowering your electricity. And guess what? They didn't go down. They went up. So the least the Premier could do to unbreak his broken promise is to reduce the HST on home heating and electricity. And I look forward to the debate. Thank you, Speaker.